This is From Hero to Zero, a show about the misconception of the demise of the music industry. We talk to heroes to make sense of the alleged zero, the music business. Hi Jon, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Very good, thank you. So, Jon Schaffer, founding member of Iced Earth, a band that has been around since the mid-'80s, basically. Mm-hmm. Jon, what we would like to know is, where do you see the main difference about being a musician today, 2016, compared to when you started Iced Earth in the mid-'80s?
Well, the business has changed drastically. We've undergone a massive change in the way people buy music or don't buy music. So that's obviously changed kind of the dynamic for everybody in the music business, and I think ultimately it's for bands that are an established brand, things are going to be okay, even though it's a weird kind of a moment in time right now where there's a lot of different business models that are popping up and people are coming up with other ideas on how to deal with the new situation. But to be a baby band would be pretty scary, I think, right now, because there's so much competition for one thing, and I without some significant backing, it would be hard. It would be a really hard time to start off, I think. So.
You just mentioned different business models. I read, I think in Loudwire, that you bought a couple of buildings and you built your Iced Earth headquarter, right, because you want to be more independent.
That's right.
Can you elaborate on that? What is the idea behind it, and what's the business plan going to be?
Well, it's to make it as efficient as possible to make records. There are income streams coming from digital, but it's less than what we used to have with physical product sales. And part of that is also a shakeup that's going to happen within the industry and the old model of the way the labels were in the past and with the artists. So it's a very complex thing, but for me, the bottom line is to be able to have everything housed under one roof, to be able to we can control our entire operation from there, make our records there, do everything that we need to do to be able to function as cost effectively as possible, and with the idea and the intent that we are going to be moving towards a path of real independence. That's the long-term plan, and over the next few years. So
interesting. You just said cost effectively. What does that entice? Well, what exactly was more expensive in the past, which you can do cheaper or more low cost today?
Well, you can with a recording studio, that is your overhead's going to go down if you make that initial investment yourself instead of going somewhere and tracking your records. So I had a studio also in Indiana in years past. We did Framing, Armageddon, and Crucible there. But that was a different kind of a setup. Like, this is going to be our warehouse, the office, the whole thing is what we're shooting for here. So that all of the band we have a storage place in Germany, we have one in Indianapolis, and now that we have a headquarters building, all those costs can be put into just it all being under one roof, and it's not burning money constantly, like trying to pay for all these other things. And there's a lot to it. It's really a matter of having the place to store the archives, the place for the management to take place there. As much as we do, we work with management companies as well. But it's just about really having everything under one roof.
Mm-hmm. Interesting, very interesting. I saw that you're now working on your 12th album. So you released 11 studio albums. However, only with 2 different labels, which in these times, if I look at different other bands, they change very often the label because of different circumstances. But you didn't. You only had 2, and basically you went from Century Media, you went to Steamhammer for 3 albums, and then you went back to Century Media. How did you manage to keep these relationships with these kind of labels, with the labels just staying with 2 labels over the years?
Well, I don't think it's really just a business. It's business. It's not so much that they're interested in selling our products because we make them money. So it doesn't have anything to do with people. I mean, to be realistic, it's not anything necessarily to do with people being nice to each other and having great relationships. It's business. That's what it boils down to. So, you know, I mean, they're great people. They're great people at SPV. I had good years there, wonderful staff there, and there's great people at Century Media too. And I've had my battles with all of the upper management in the past, and that's just the way it is. I mean, we all do. Anybody that's in this game, if you want to survive, you better be a fighter, or they will walk all over you. That's just the way it is.
Sure, definitely. I looked at your discography, and I saw that across the 11 albums, studio albums that were released, you basically always had an upward slope in the charts positions. Is that still relevant to this day?
You know, I don't know how relevant it is. I think it's good for product placement in certain stores, and there's people that look at it like it's still important, but I don't know that it really is, honestly. You know, I don't think it has the importance that it did 10 years ago, not even close. But you know, it's just that things are changing. The whole system is changing completely, and I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I think it's kind of an unsure thing for everybody right now, because it's a little bit like the Wild West. There's a lot of different options, and the more independent a band is, the more those options are going to open up. So the old model, I feel like, it's dying. It's just a question of when is it going to be totally dead. And I like the idea of us dealing directly with our fan base. That's my ultimate goal, taking the pimps out of the equation. You know, I mean, just really taking all that out, and we deal. And the same goes with the media aspect. Us being able to give our news directly to the fan base it's an awesome thing. So there's a lot of good things about what's happening now as well. It's not all negative. It's just that there's a lot of people that are struggling with how to survive through it. And then there's some bands that have done amazingly well, like Sabaton, for instance. Those guys Pär, you know, educated himself about how all this works, and so he's really done a fantastic job of building their digital structure up, and it's a great thing. So I mean, you know, there's guys out there that are doing great, and there's some that are really struggling, and there's some that are kind of, what are we going to do? And you know, a lot of dynamics going on right now, but I don't think it's anything to be afraid of. I think it's just a change, and you know, there for a few years, everybody's going on tour because you've lost income from sales because physical sales are going down. Well, a lot of the labels are taking way more than their fair share of the digital income, so that makes it tougher on a band. So the bands have to go out and play, and then, you know, you've got too many bands on the tour circuit all the time, and you're having to rely on tickets and t-shirts to make your income and stuff. So it's, you know, it's a challenging time, but like I said, man, if it was a baby band situation, I would be, I don't know how that's going to, I mean, I'm sure somebody out there is going to do it, you know, and come up and get really strong and big, but without some serious financial backing, I'm not sure how that's going to happen. So it'll be interesting to watch. But for those of us that have a brand and have been doing this a long time, I think it's the opportunities that open up are going to be great in the long run.
Sure, I understand. You just mentioned the changes, or you had to adapt to changes. When you saw that the internet was disrupting the industry, first of all, did you see it coming? Were you shocked? Did you not care in the beginning, or did you embrace it right away? Do you remember?
Well, I knew it was going to be bad. You know,
Okay.
I remember back when Lars Ulrich was in the battle with Napster, and I knew he was right. I mean, he was right, and he called it. You know, and it's just it seems there's society-wise, we have this kind of a generation of people that feel like they're entitled to things, like they should just be given things because they've had a very soft and easy life, and you know, that's just not realistic. If you care, this tour bus costs money. Everything we do, all of our gear costs money. We have to eat. We have homes to pay for. We have families. I mean, everybody out here is out here working. This isn't a vacation. So if you're taking something of mine, you're stealing. You know, that's the way it is. And it's not but we have this somehow, you know, all the people, the way he got demonized, I thought was very unfair. And now we've seen through all these years, he was right about what's going to happen, you know. So, but that it is what it is, you know.
Sure. Last question, very bluntly put. You already mentioned that it might die the old business model. What's going to happen to labels then?
I think there's going to come a day where they're going to be somehow more of a service type of a situation where they can come. They need to start realizing that they have got to come in as partners with the bands instead of being the pimps and where they're whores. And that's the way artists have been treated for far too long. And in a way, I kind of enjoy seeing them go through the struggles that they're going through because they've been fucking artists forever. So that's a kind of for me, it's bittersweet, but I do like to see them getting a little bit of what I feel like is coming to them. But they're going to have, if they want to have any kind of relevance in the business, what they can do with a band that's independent is to supply a service where they manufacture and distribute and do it in a situation, in a type of deal where things are just more fair and it's more of a partnership of the bands working together with the label rather than a slavery-like situation, which is what a lot of bands have had to go through it's been going on since the beginning, so.
Sure. Well, Jon, thank you so much. It was very interesting, and all the best with the new record.
Thank you.